Welcome back. This video will explain some basic methods to modify letters in HearForm Pro. It's very easy to customize letters in HearForm, but there are some advanced techniques that we'll cover in a subsequent video. To start out with, let's just do a simple letter enhancement by clicking the Letters button. We've already covered the different kinds of letters that are in HearForm: custom, patient, physician, etc. We're going to go to the Tested Not Sold or Tested Not Fit letter here. You already know probably that you can modify the name of the letter right here and make that something that's available on the home screen if we copy that button name and put that on the home screen. So let's go to the letter itself by just clicking here, and as you can see, this is a blank letter, but we're going to add some text. Now I'm using a sample off to the side from a Word document, and what I'm going to do is just copy that so I don't have to retype it, and then I'm going to paste it into the letter itself. So before I do that, I have to go into what's called layout mode, developer mode, which will allow me to edit that. So there's a little button in the upper right called Edit Layout. That's generally the easiest way. Occasionally, you may want to go to View, Layout Mode, or press the Control key and letter L. So that puts me into layout mode. I'm going to drag my tools over here so you can see what's going on off to the side. The very first thing I want to do is get my text tool. That T right there will allow me then to put my cursor into this area right here. Now we generally, let me zoom in so you can see this better, we generally want to leave this top part alone. The date of letter calc is going to put today's date unless you change that by overwriting that in a date field that says essentially date other than today. So let's leave that alone, and we also want to leave these areas alone here. Name, letter, calc, co will automatically put the name of a company. If a patient has a company and you want to include that in there, it will also include one or more lines of their street address. For example, they may have a P.O. box with an additional line or something like that, or maybe they're in a retirement center and you want to have Shady Hills Retirement Center, 123 Main Street. So again, if you would leave that alone, that's a calculated area that may slide or move the text up or down depending on how much information is in that area. Finally, name greeting calc will automatically say Dear Mary or Dear Mrs. Smith or Dear June, a nickname or a third-party name, etc. So again, let's leave that for now and just work in this area right here. So I'm going to highlight that area. I'll zoom back out so you can see a little bit better when I paste it. So again, let's highlight this, and now I'm simply going to, I can backspace or just type over it. I'm going to paste the information on my clipboard. So let's do that. And you may not like the font that it pastes in there, so if I press Control Z on my keyboard, then it matches, if I do that right away, it matches the font that's already in the text block there, which happens to be Times New Roman. Of course, you could highlight everything, come over here to the palette, and then scroll down a little bit and change that to something like Arial or anything like that. So I'm going to undo that for now and put that back to the way it was when I first started. So let's start over and get our text tool. We'll just put this here, press Control V for Victor or paste, and then Control Z will change that format to whatever it used to be there. I'm then going to exit layout, save my change, or not save it if I don't like the result of what I just did, but I'll save that change. And now I have a letter there. So let's look at the letter again down here at the bottom as I zoom in just a little bit. We have already at the bottom the clinician's signature and name. Those are two separate objects, and they're automatically going to merge or slide up, I should say, to meet the text block. So there's a couple of things that we'll cover in the advanced area, and that is that we want these not necessarily touching. So the bottom of this is, as I can see under the ruler here, the bottom of this is 624 pixels from the top of the page, and this here is, the top of this is 634, so it's not really touching. It shouldn't be a problem. So we can look at that a little bit later again, but let's save our change if there are any, and then let's finally preview this letter and see how it's going to look. So we'll click Preview, and now we see, well, Okay, that's all right, but there's a lot of text there, and there's not much white space, so we need to edit that a little bit better. So what I'm going to do is go back into layout mode, get my text tool, and then I'm going to just put some white space in there. Again, this is entirely up to you how you want to format things, but that's going to be a bit more readable to the patient. So we'll save our change, we'll preview that, and that looks a little bit more readable now. So now we see the assigned audiologist there. If there is more than one letter printed, now it puts Patty or Athena or Jennifer, Jana, whoever's signature is necessary there. And in this case, it's putting 3 lines of the signature because we set that up under the clinician setup area. But it could just say the name of the clinician or something like that. So it's pretty straightforward being able to create those. And this letter here does not have a letterhead, whereas this one does, and that's because this particular patient, Kathy, does not have an office assigned to her on the home screen. So if you print out a letter or a form and there's no letterhead, just make sure that you have something assigned. Notice this one says Northport Hearing Clinic, this one says Northwest Florida ENT, and then this one is Advanced Audiology. That's all dependent upon who is assigned, which office is assigned, I should say, on the home screen right here. So if that's blank, then you won't get a letterhead at the top of that letter. If the clinician is blank, then you won't get a name at the bottom, including that signature. Now we've covered already, I'll just briefly show you though, we've covered already how to set up your clinicians, and if you want to add signatures, and even a photograph can be added if desired. Just make sure that you crop that properly and insert that picture so that the image of the signature automatically appears at the bottom of the letter. So we're going to cover quite a bit more in the way of modifying letters, but let me go back and show you one other thing in that patient area here. Think about it. And so it's pretty straightforward if you've used Word or other programs, but you can also modify this letter, let's zoom in a little bit, by getting your text tool, highlighting, for example, if you wanted to underline that, then you can come over to this third button here and scroll down and just click that. Now, I like keyboard shortcuts, so we can look under the Format menu, a different method of doing that, and we can just change the style right here, or press Control-Shift-U for underline, Control-Shift-I, B or P for plain, bold, or italicized text. So you can do that and some other things here if you want. You can highlight a word or a phrase just like that. So it's pretty straightforward overall. And you can change the color of the text and make it a larger size, or make something stand off by itself. So it's pretty straightforward to do that. Another thing I'll show you is how to insert a photograph, but that'll be in a separate video that's a bit more advanced. So feel free to customize the view or image of your text, whether you want it bold or underlined, etc. And once you've done that, then go back and save your change, and then you have a very nice letter. So let's do one more thing, and that is we're going to click the pencil here and copy the name of that layout. Think About It TNS, again, call it whatever you'd like. And then we're going to go back home, and we're going to go, I'll zoom out so you can see it better. We're going to go to the letters area here and scroll down, hit edit, and we have something that says Think About It. I'm going to change it to Think About It TNS. And I think because there wasn't really a letter called Just Think About It, so we want it to match exactly. So let's go now to Think About It TNS, and now after a patient comes in for hearing eval, they decide they're not convinced that they want to get help that day. If it's within your office policies, you may just want to click a button and print that out or email it. And in this case, you're reminded about private health information. And this is the letter that goes out to Jennifer, and she gets a very nice letter, and that's the one that we just created a moment ago. And it's all ready to go, and there's virtually no cost for you to email that. So that's just something to consider, being able to put in your own custom letters. And a final thought is that when I've done that, I may wonder later, did I actually send that Think About It letter? And yes, I did, and this is who I sent it to Jennifer. So you have a history of that, recording everything that you just did. So by all means, please feel free to view our other video on advanced letter creation and modification, and we'll look forward to seeing you there. Thanks very much.